Hi Aquarius, welcome back for your February reading. Those of you who are new, a very warm welcome. And those of you who are coming over from YILDIZ readings, welcome over. Okay, so I do have two channels. Now, you're on Twin Flame Alchemist Union. I, however, do have YILDIZ readings, which covers all of your general life, as well as any astrology. I do live sessions monthly. And I do give away a free 1 hour Skype reading at YILDIZ readings, as well as on this new channel. Now, I'm a psychic medium as well as a twin flame. Any downloads I get during the month, subscribe and you can be part of that. And you can also ask questions and get some guidance as to the twin flame journey and what's transpiring and transforming in the journey. And if you are wanting to make a booking, the link is directly below. Okay, now, anything in a sense of astrology, although I do it at YILDIZ readings, I will incorporate it into the psychic downloads and apply it how it directly fits for us. I've also in this read pulled chakra cards to see how you're balancing, you know, your energies in your everyday life, as well as any karmic lesson energies, you know, lessons and growth that we're going to have spiritually on each side. Now, the readings will change as of March, and they'll be more in depth as to, you know, perhaps the movement. At the moment, there is a lot of meditation going on between both masculine and feminine on both sides, and that was really coming through from mid-December onwards. I mean, a lot of transformation happened in 2018, and really when you look at it from a spiritual point of view, all the way through from 2016 onwards, we've been going through a transformation. A lot of the energy last year, although some of you may have been in communication, contact and relationships with your twin, a lot of the energy was directly for you to come into your own frequency and purge the past. So be it you were directly working with your twin or you weren't, and again, it does depend on what wave you are, a lot of transformations were happening. Now, March is really the catalyst to massive change. So those that were lagging behind in the journey, there can be a mass transformation coming around March. But at the same time, there's a lot of tying up of loose ends. It's almost like the new year for some reason, and a psychic download was coming through as March being a transformative time. Now, the first energy that you're coming into the month with is action, which is going to be movement, perseverance, discipline, and motivation. You're going to have, it's base chakra energy for you, Aquarius, in February. For the next 2 weeks, you may need to keep very grounded when it does come to any family-related dynamics, in the way you interact, in the way you move forward. So it can be external to the twin flame journey. You're having to use a lot of base chakra. You might have a lot more support and feel a little bit more balanced. But the first card that you got coming through is to do with you becoming, you know, quite grounded. You might feel a little bit more able to, but you still may have the frequency of despair going on. So it might be holding your cards really close to your chest when it comes to what's going on, trying to be disciplined and motivated, but at the same time keeping things very private. Now, your twins' energy is in their own personal life, very separate to you. They're quite reflective, but at the same time, they're not really enjoying the frequency of where they're at, and they're wanting to move forward. This is with you. But really, I feel both of you are reflecting upon where the connection was previously. So on one side, I feel, and the energies can swap, so don't take it personal if it's coming through on Aquarius's side. It can flick back and forward, especially since we're coming into the yin and yang of each other. You know, Aquarius may have felt that they had to hold their cards close to their chest, but this really hurt them. But at the same time, Counterpart's energy was really feeling sick of the stagnation and, you know, the continuation of a cycle. They did want to come out of that frequency. It didn't, you know, it couldn't really stick in the way it was. Now, on Counterpart's side, 2 cards have fallen out in chakra. Choices, left or right, and crown chakra. You know, again, although it's Crown, I am hearing like knowing the bigger picture of the situation, but really coming to a place now where regardless of knowing the spiritual connection and the 5D, what do we do from here? Maybe even just learning that factor of what it is and coming to a realization of it and realizing why perhaps they were at this frequency, which was an energy of theirs, not necessarily of the connection, and having an epiphany of this. Now, in this situation, it made you feel very vulnerable, but it was also, you know, not being able to walk through particular doors, especially when it comes to a lack of communication. Now, something might have come in that made you feel that you could no longer go down the path because it made you feel a threat. It might have been the way it was, it might have been the mirroring effect and the triggers. Regardless of what transpired, I'm hearing communication was the key, but what came in might not have been as good as what you had hoped it would be. That might have been bad news, it might have been poor communication. Again, communication, regardless of what transpired previously, I feel was really the key. On their side, it was feeling that their pride with these situations of realizing something had changed might have been stopping them from moving forward, regardless of coming out of sadness. So on either side, if there has been a delay, it feels as though communication, again, has a chance to be coming through, but both of you are knowing that actions on one side and healthy choices on the other, and really using, you know, your intuition when it comes to, and your higher knowing of the connection. And the frustrating thing was, for one side, was that making those healthy choices sometimes did mean being stuck temporarily. But also freeing yourself from them meant you really needed to come to a place where you trusted in the transformation of the connection. Spiritually, Aquarius feels more ready after any adversity that they were undergoing in their own personal life, even connected to the twin flame. But things still at this point may not have come together, either on your side or counterpart's side. And you're trying to avoid disaster. You're trying to make sure that you're as grounded as possible, especially keeping your cards close to your chest because of previous despair. You're really going into your intuition when it comes to what's happened, and you feel that something needs to end in order for the new to come in. So it's like you're having this internal knowing that certain situations need to tie up in a sense of karma or balance and grounding in order to move this forward. And it can be that you're getting a lot of downloads at the beginning of the month, a lot of intuitive knowing, and especially with the advice I gave last month, if you were watching, you know, to take about an hour a week to really have that quiet where you're not having any white noise. Obviously, we get the guidance from YouTube. It can be from spiritual counsel. But a lot of the energy within the twin flame connection is connected to you and your counterpart, be it you're in communication or not communication. That needs to continue to a point where you can really meditate and anchor in that energy. I do feel in some shape or form moving forward, it might be a fretful energy that you're feeling that somebody's going to take you, that you're going to move on to a new path, or that perhaps that's what the judgment is by walking away from the situation, that, you know, it was taken from you too early, and really thinking about that, how things went. Some of it feels as though you felt your power was taken from you and some of your actions weren't acknowledged for the good doings that you felt you did. But there was a lack of ability to move within the situation the way it stood. It may have been due to family-related dynamics, especially with the action card being in base chakra. It might have been on your side or their side. You know, you've got a scholar coming up, and this can be either something you're learning in education sense or physically, that there were children involved in the connection that was impacting the loving romance, but there was still love. It may be that you're feeling that there is a block on your side or their side, but it's connected to communication and ego. And a lot of us have purged aspects of the ego, but sometimes it's more our intuition connected to the past that we're tapping into the egoic state. But it is more a mental prison. And so it can be a lot of what's going on in a sense of your transformation in the next 2 weeks with movement within your twin flame journey is due to you mentally thinking back now that you're a bit more grounded as to how everything transpired. And again, I'm hearing a family related dynamic was impacting it. You do have for a lesson in the next 2 weeks of something you're going to learn through this process is that it is very important to continue, you know, really, again, the meditation, you know, finding the time to meditate, finding the time to actually, you know, let go of the talking bird on your back of the energy of what transpired, trying to black out that white noise to actually hear the truth of the matter, regardless of anything that's transpired, especially within any family related dynamics or you feeling unstable within the connection. You know, get to the root of the cause of why particular things were going on. On their side, there may have been a change of plans in relation to a person in their life that they, you know, it might have been they were really, they had taken it from a friendship to a romantic affair very quickly, and it really moved very fast. You may have felt that they didn't show it, and this, again, it can go vice versa. It may have been a third party energy where it was a friend that turned into a romantic partner, but I'm not really feeling that, but it is possible. I'm feeling counterparts energy greatly meditating, although they are having a lot of friends at the moment helping them, and now this friend may have been someone that did have a romantic interest in them, but regardless, I do feel they're actually helping them at the moment to become a new person, to be the person that they've always wanted to be. And I'm feeling they're working really hard with this situation, and they're trying not to get stuck in their head, which was perhaps sabotaging them in the past. This can be in relation to what went down between the two of you, but they're trying to stay as grounded as possible moving forward in order to make correct and healthy choices for themselves. I do feel they're really overcoming any aspects of addictions, karmic cycles, can be drug and alcohol connections, and they're trying to come into their own frequency. Now, if this is on your side, Aquarius, you know, they're aware of this and they know that you're doing the best you can to do the work. And if you're unaware of this, very much on both sides, you're trying to get as grounded as possible to detoxify your lives and gain some sense of balance. I feel the transit between January all the way through to March is going to be, in hindsight, after the fact, you'll realise it's really anchored in your energy to a point you're both moving forward in a more healthy manner. But it's going to take a lot of courage, and I do feel it's through communication that is going to be the key, and I'd really said this. So however this fits, you've got communication twice, you know, conversations and communication. It may be initially the energy comes through in other people to support you through this process in order to move the situation forward to gain that communication. Some of you may already be working through elements and aspects of the dynamic and having conversations about what went down. What counterparts energy is going to be learning? That you don't have to rush and you don't have to be foolish. You know, that sometimes you can feel as though in the past you made mistakes, right? With boredom and, you know, not seeing what was in front of you or perhaps on their own side, regardless of how this fits. But knowing that you can take your time in the situation, as long as you're making healthy choices for yourself that you feel are correct. You know, we don't have to be up in our heads about it at all times. We know what the spiritual connection is, and even if we don't, everything will balance out, providing we're choosing past that are making us feel that we're ready to commit to that. So I do feel counterparts energy being very cautious, being very intuitive when it comes to making choices and taking a leap of faith. They're wanting to do this so they don't make the same mistakes as years gone by. And that's within their whole life, not just with you. The energy between you. I feel you're getting a lot of downloads, but I feel you might be, on both sides, you might be energetically quite strict within your expectations within yourselves. But really looking back on where people let you down and people left you out in the cold. So it can be quite a meditative state. But the reflection is what's coming through, especially with your chakra cards, is that this meditation on any pain that you've experienced and any abandonment related dynamics, you know, you're really trying to anchor that energy in to make healthier choices. I do feel something for some of you may have transpired around this silly season. This could have been Christmas and New Year's, and this can be a reflection that's coming up. It might have been an expectation you had, or a hope, or a dream. And perhaps for many of you, there was a hope and a feeling vibrationally that there is a change coming. You're really recouping in the life of the twin flame journey. So be it you are, or some of you I do feel are in communication. Those of you who aren't, I do feel that you're trying to really prepare yourself for that situation. And there is a great deal of recuperation after something that didn't go so well in the past, and it is causing you fear-based frequency. But you're trying to stay as grounded as possible and avoid disasters. Some of you are very concerned about how it will feel to actually move forward without twin, should you choose to. But I do feel in your mind you're sort of saying to yourself, I know I've been in my head about this too long. And having to deal with some 3D things. You don't feel that it came to its full potential. And you know it has the ability to. On one side, I'm feeling that if there was a karmic energy, that's for those of you who that's relevant. Sometimes the karmic energy can actually be a work-related dynamic. It can be kin. Whatever was going on, the pieces you're picking up in the recuperation is after a separation. So, you know, this can even be connected to the both of you. But for some of you, it can be due to a external person. Regardless, it's directly a recuperation and a realisation of what couldn't meet its full potential. Possible outcome moving forward. If there is a karmic energy, it's definitely showing that this person's being left in the past. And there is a choice between two paths. And this can be on both sides. At the moment, it may be a lot of internal healing that's going on. Because you have two energies here. All right. For some, it is the fact that it just simply didn't get to the point where it could reach the second stage. Some of you are also contemplating reunion. So this is more for those of you who are in separation. If you're in no communication whatsoever, this person is leaving a given separate connection. If those of you who know that your twin doesn't have a karmic, this is about the fact that they're really meditating upon the fact that they didn't allow this to transpire. And they're deeply reflecting on taking it here, then taking it there. So really taking it to the next level, but it's like it's going to skip a step. I'm also hearing that they felt it was moving quite fast. But it's not that that was a bad thing. It was just at an emotional level. They perhaps didn't feel quite ready. They had lost faith in themselves as a person. But they've really done a lot of healing, even if they're not communicating. I feel that on your side, you're trying to keep as grounded as possible. One side is actually hoping for that communication to come in, but I am feeling, if you haven't heard, there is going to be communication, but at the same time, it can also be the feeling that you are feeling that perhaps Aquarius is considering contacting. Don't know why, but it's the one that thought they wouldn't. So, throat chakra. So those of you who haven't communicated, do put a comment down below if you are considering contacting your twin. I do feel, I don't have a bad feeling in relation to the communication if you do wish to reach out. But at the same time, I feel it's those of you who haven't had communication in a while that are considering that option. Some of you are also considering perhaps even just continuing on to remove the adversities from your own personal lives. But at the same time, I do feel it is moving in the direction of reconciliation, but it's the balancing out on both sides that's happening. Yeah, it's a pause in it. It's not saying it's not happening. This is number 11, which is twin flame, right? It's not jumping in the deep end, taking your time to do the healing work. If you're in communication, taking the time, doing the work together, and not getting fretful of it, just really pacing yourself through it. I will see you in 2 weeks. Otherwise, I'll see you during the live sessions.